Hey everyone, it's Mr. Wobbly94. I hope you're doing well today. I have a book review here for a manga that people have recommended to me forever. I just bought it recently, about a week ago, and I showed it in my book haul video from like last Saturday or whatever. Anyway, this is a book that it's, I think, either recently finished or about to wrap up, something like that, I'm not really sure, but the author recently passed away too in the last year or so. It's called Berserk Volume 1 by Kentaro Miura. And this was a series that people loved, and I've heard people talk about forever as kind of a horror fantasy type of thing, and I never really knew much about it. I knew it was supposed to be really gory and really adult, and this sticker on the front is the only book I've ever gotten in my life that has parental, guidelines on it. It's not a trigger warning list, it just says, hey, be careful, this is explicit, And they ain't wrong, man. This is a really, really good book, one that I'm very impressed with. I've said it many times so far on the channel, especially recently where I've been reviewing so many manga books, usually with a series like My Hero Academia and I think Volume 1 of Naruto. I was never a fan of those first volumes. Yu Yu Hakusho has a rough first couple of volumes too. I've never read that whole series either, but the first couple of books were tough for me to get through. But this is one of the very rare exceptions of a first volume for a well-known series that I just absolutely, from the get-go, clicked with. I loved, whether it be the art, the writing, the character stuff, whatever we're talking about. And this is like a lot of series where the first volume of the manga is kind of a collection of short stories, if you will, that kind of interconnect and kind of will grow onto you at some point. And we follow a guy who is kind of a nameless wanderer at first. Eventually we find out about halfway through the book his name was Guts, and he's just kind of aimlessly going from place to place. The book opens up in a very, very weird place where he is having sex with a very well-drawn woman, let's say, and she turns into a monster, and he kills it by shoving his fake robot, whatever machinery arm into its mouth, and I guess it chokes to death or something, I'm not sure. But I have to be careful about what pictures I show you because I don't want you to get spoiled or show nudity in my photos, because there's a lot of gore and stuff too, so I have to be careful with what I can show you. But here's some random art that looks really awesome in here. Let me see if I can find a better picture too. There was some really cool stuff in here, like this one right here. The art is very detailed. I think he did a wonderful job, and sadly, again, this author passed away before he could finish this book, and or this series, and I don't know if anybody finished it yet or not. But I cannot wait to read more of this. I cannot wait to find out more about this character, Guts. At one point in the book, and by the way, this is a very serious book for the most part. It's like a very serious world that eventually has its comedic relief in this very small fairy, like from Zelda, that Guts happens to save at a bar where he kills a bunch of guys. And he's kind of a... I think he's called like the Black Swordsman or something as a nickname, and like if people hear that, they're like, oh shit, he's coming for me now. Very interesting little urban legend feel around Guts as a character, but he saves this little fairy I was just talking about named Puck. I'm assuming that's its real name. And Puck is the very, very funny little sidekick to Guts that's not even his sidekick. Guts hates fairies, he hates weaklings, he wants them to get away. He's just a very stoic man who's very macho, very... killer instinct focused, and he just doesn't care. He will kill everybody. There are so many people that get cut in half with this massive sword that he has. Like, we're talking Final Fantasy type shit sword. It is epic. If you love that kind of stuff, this is right up your alley. If you love, like, again, very gory stories. There's a lot of really good kills in here that I've never seen done in anything I've ever read, which shocked the hell out of me, whether it be a Brian Keene book, a Jonathan Mayberry book, or a manga. It doesn't matter what I've read, I've never seen some of the things that were done in here. And that was epic to me. This is very unique as a book. This is very unique as a story. And even as a collection of small short stories kind of tied together, this character of Guts, who I'm not sure if he has both of his eyes or not. Most of the time he's walking around with one eye shut. I'm assuming it's supposed to be that he doesn't have an eye and that he's damaged with all the fights and battles he's been in. But he has a fake arm, like I talked about, and it can do all these things, like it can turn into a crossbow, and it can, turns into a cannon, I believe, at one point too. It's not like a transformer, but it has its different abilities, and that's kind of cool. But it's pretty awesome, man. Between the crossbow, fake arm thing, I want to know how he lost his arm, by the way, too. But between that and between his massive sword thing he kills people with and all the fights and brutality in here, and the humor in here from Puck the Fairy, That stuff meshed so well into a wonderful read and with some really great panels of art. Dude, it's such a good read in general. I have heard that by the time you get to the future in the books, that it's not the same character as what we have in this first volume. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I always heard from a lot of people I talked to. A lot of friends of mine said that. But I would be surprised if this would change up a whole lot, whether it be the tone of the storytelling, whether it be the world building, whatever. This Berserk Volume 1 is really, really good. I would even go as far to possibly call it phenomenal. This is one of the best books I've read so far this year. It's a great example of why people like myself have turned more and more to manga rather than, regular novels like a lot of adults do. Because I'm not an adult, I guess. Mentally, at least. Anyway, Berserk Volume 1 by Kentaro Miura. This is a phenomenal read. I hope he rests in peace because he brought us one of the best reads in a long time for me, for you, for everybody. Again, just be warned, it is not going to be for everyone because of how brutal it is, but it is awesome. If you love horror and you love fantasy and like a mesh of those, like think of like the Elder Scrolls Oblivion or something. If you like that, this kind of thing I think would be for you more than likely. Such a great read, but if I had to rate Berserk Volume 1 on a 5-star basis, I would easily give this a 5 out of 5 stars. It was such a badass read, had so much strong storytelling to it, to not even have much of a plot aside from this character Guts wandering from place to place, encountering Puck the fairy every once in a while, learning more about the things that are going after Guts. I guess you could call them demons, evil spirits, whatever you want to call these things. The stuff that's happening to him really defines this character, and it's making the book way more interesting than it should be, I think. Really cool read. Definitely a big recommendation from yours truly. Anyway, have you read it? What do you think about the series, this first book? Just don't spoil anything. I don't want to know shit. I don't want to know a single thing. I'm going to go to the library sometime this week and see if they have more volumes of this and Die Dark, because I really want to read them. I'm sure they'll have to be on back order, and I'll be waiting around forever to get them, but still excited to possibly get around to reading those at some point, because these books are great, man. The stuff that I picked up from this last book haul have been great. I think I'm going to hold off on Deadpool Samurai, Volume 1 I guess is what it is. I'm going to hold off on that and read something else, maybe finish up a couple of novels I have over here on the corner of the desk that have been there since Christmas time. But anyway, hopefully you'll tune in for some reviews for that stuff, and thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Let me know what your thoughts are again on Berserk. Thank you. God bless you again. Goodbye.